It's kind of gross. It's dissecting a heart. Also, this is done in my backyard, and I don't know if I got everything right. So keep that in mind if you're using this as a study tool. But thanks, enjoy the video. I'm gonna get some water on there. That's probably gonna float away. Little paper towel under there. I should probably have gloves on. That's better. Alrighty. Kind of have a crappy setup here, so bear with me. And there's our heart. And I splashed juice everywhere. That's not good. Alrighty. So, this is what we were looking at before. It's the same thing, pretty much. Oh, you can actually see all the juices coming out of there. So this is the aorta right here, I believe, but we'll see. Because whenever you squeeze this left ventricle, some water comes out of it, just a little bit, and then water's coming out of the left atrium right there. And when you squeeze the right, I don't see anything coming out. So cutting a heart feels kind of like cutting a steak, but like really, really tough steak. Like it is a muscle just like a lot of stuff. But it's really weird how much like meat it feels, because I don't think you're really expecting that whenever you start cutting into it. So yep, got a brand new nice scalpel on here, so that makes it much easier to cut. And whenever you're cutting, you just kind of keep following it. You're gonna get kind of mixed up which way is what ventricle you're cutting into, but once you have it all cut, it should be good. I don't want to like murder those veins, because I do that like every single time I cut open a heart, which is surprisingly more than once. So you also kind of have to drag your scalpel down inside the heart, because there is a lot of stuff in there that you kind of got to cut open. And just, I see people cutting hearts kind of dumb. Follow knife safety, please. There we go. Alrighty. Making headway. TLDR, I'm very stupid. So, looking at this heart from the same view we've been looking at it from every single start. So on this back, you see this bad boy, this is your vena cava, okay? This is a vein that brings all the blood from the body and pops it right there, okay? The inferior vena cava is lost to history at this point. I don't know where it is. And a lot of times you get really crappy vena cavas with animal hearts because they cut all the veins off so close and you're not really getting it. Though I'm sure someone will point it out and be like, oh, it's right there, you idiot. But, so vena cava, so the blood's starting to enter the heart right here in this vein. So you're going to see it go down, and it pops right down into the right atrium, okay? So it's chilling in there, and you can kind of see the walls of it and all that stuff, if I can put my stick in. So through there, down here, goes through this valve that we see right here. That was one of the valves we cut through whenever we opened up this heart, and takes it down into this right ventricle. So we have right atrium, right ventricle. Now from the right ventricle, it's on the other half of the heart, okay? So superior, we're now on the other half of the heart. In this right ventricle, okay, because we have almost none of the atrium, we do have that, but that's not part of that valve. This is a little bit part of the valve, but not really. If we really pry this heart open, there is a little opening up here, like all the way at the top, okay? If we put the blunt probe through that and follow it up, it comes out right here. This is the pulmonary trunk of the pulmonary artery. So this is taking all that deoxygenated blood, and you can kind of see how it's like, it's a lot thicker than that vein that we were poking at. So it's taking all that deoxygenated blood, and it's pumping that to the lungs. So this branches in two, and it pumps like a little bit to that lung, a little bit to that lung. Alrighty, so I'll go and I'll label these and put them right back. Right here. So let me, oh, and I touched the heart with my bare hands. You sticky, yucky. We have stuff fairly labeled now already. And also these are all blue. Deoxygenated blood. There's no oxygen. I mean, there's probably a little bit, but there's almost no oxygen in this blood. That's why it goes back to the heart to be pumped to the lungs. Alrighty. And then these ones over here, we'll get to them later, but those are the ones that do have oxygen. Like, you know, they're red, they're oxygenated, they're living life. So when I put those in, those will be the ones that have oxygen. These don't. Alrighty. So now we're kind of moving back to the heart again after going to the lungs. So now you've taken a breath, your lungs have oxygenated all that blood, and that would be a whole nother video. But your lungs have oxygenated this blood now. So it's coming back in through the left atrium. So let me find where that is, because honestly, I don't really know yet. But this is made a lot easier. Like, once you have one half of the heart identified, like, you're less likely to mix stuff up. But I think I see it. It's like all the way back up in here. And might have done too much cutting. Alright, so this is one of those things. It's not that big, okay? And that was not just my cutting job. So once again, animal hearts, they love to cut stuff off. There should be like almost four or quite a few pulmonary veins coming out of here, but they kind of cut that whole section off, so now we just have like this gaping hole. It's not actually a gaping hole. And we shall label, even though it doesn't look quite right. Good enough for us. So, left ventricle, that oxygenated blood, freshly oxygenated blood is coming down in, snaking its way down, coming in through here. And it's right here now, okay? In your left atrium, just chilling. Gets pumped through this fancy looking valve. I love these valves. Can't remember what they're called. Goes into the left ventricle, the thick boy. Okay, so he's in here, and I'm just gonna go to the other heart because, you know, too much stuff happening on that one. So it pops into this bad boy. You can still see I cut this valve really nicely. They're like, dang, you get everything. So this is left ventricle, all this stuff, your little heartstrings, and the blood's in here. Heart pushes, shoots it up through here, okay? And this is also a valve, but I completely mangled it, so, you know, I'll throw up a drawing of that later or something. So it comes up through here, up through the aorta, to the rest of your body. So there should actually be almost like an arch right here, and you'll have like all sorts of little stuff like going out to like your head and like your arms and stuff like that, and then there'll be the big loop that basically descends down, and that will like run along your spine, and that's goes down to like your legs, your whole like abdomen and all that stuff. So yeah. So I will label these bad boys. Be right back. I don't know why I said be right back. I'm right here. We'll just label the rest of the stuff on this heart. So this is that beautiful aorta that's completely mid, because they cut all of the cool stuff off of it. That's a little valve, another little valve. I mean, that's your left ventricle. Or, no. It's been a long day. It's been a long summer. Left atrium, that's your left ventricle. And yeah, that's the fully labeled beautiful heart. I'm gonna swivel that aorta. Actually, no, it's staying right there. Ignore me. But yeah, so that is a fully labeled heart. And I know you're distraught. You don't want me to go. So I have more cool labeled hearts. Alright, so I moved my camera a little bit so I don't drop this directly into the dissection thing. But this is a like vintage heart model. Not like super accurate, or looks a little weird, but it'll work for what we need. So it's really nice. It splits in half like this, and I completely biff that. Splits in half like this, And you can see like all the valves without someone like me completely murdering them all. So, with this, it's a lot clearer and easier to see everything, pretty much. Also, the veins are already labeled blue deoxygenated, red oxygenated. So your superior vena cava, your inferior vena cava, which is also a hole that you can like stick your whole finger in. So we stick our finger in like a blunt probe, we pop this open. This is your right atrium, he's just chilling. This is your right ventricle, okay? On this side, we can see the right ventricle. You got this bad boy right here. This is the valve that takes you to, drumroll please, the pulmonary trunk. Also, since this model heart isn't like all cut off, we can see the branches of the pulmonary trunk. It splits, goes to this lung, goes to that lung. Alrighty. And then it comes back in, and this was the big thing that they cut off that just left us with like a giant gaping hole. These are the pulmonary veins that are coming back into the heart on both sides. If I could stick my finger in them, but I sadly can't. They take us here, which I'm kind of realizing now, like, doesn't really show that the veins go in there. Not 100% accurate, but these veins go down in here, and this is the left atrium, okay? This left atrium takes you down into here, the left ventricle, and you can tell because it's a little bit thicker than this side. It's a lot of just poking around with a blunt probe and figuring out where stuff goes, because the heart's very mechanical. It's not too complicated. I mean, it basically pumps, you know. So yeah, pretty nice model. I can probably post more photos of it. I wish I could do like one of those 3D models where it like spins around, but I'm not smart enough for that. Alrighty. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall again, but I wanted to run through this one last time in case anyone needs review and for my own sanity. So, the heart was originally like this. This is the left side, this is the right side, you got the apex. Life is good. When we cut the heart in half, we start over here. So, there is the vena cava. Blood flows into the heart from the body, and it pops out right around here. If I could. Right. Am I stupid? Ah, I am. Blood pops out right around here in the right atrium. Goes from the right atrium down through this valve right here into the right ventricle. If we look on the other side of the heart, still in the right ventricle, it goes up, comes up here, pops out right here, and if we turn around, that's the pulmonary trunk, or the pulmonary artery. It's same difference. Now when it comes back from the pulmonary artery, we can't see it super well because this was cut open, but you have a gigantic hole here, and that is your pulmonary veins, or was your pulmonary veins. They got cut off. Then you go to the left atrium, go through this valve, and it takes you to the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, the heart squeezes and pushes it up through the aorta, which gives the rest of your body now oxygenated blood. But yeah, so I'll take a bunch of like really cool photos of the heart, because this was a really interesting one. Like there was a lot of like really interesting, like all these little guys. Like it was a good cut. But yeah. Alrighty, so I made some little like lock screen photos for your phone to help you remember stuff about the heart. Those are actual images for you. I also have some notes from like Gen Bio 1 if that might help you at all. And then these are all the images of the anatomical model of the heart. So yeah, hope this helps somewhat, or at least was somewhat coherent. If I got something wrong, please feel free to just completely roast me, because that's what I deserve. I have a frog, I have a kidney, I have a brain, an eyeball, I think. So if you want to watch me dissect more things, you know, pick the next one and I'll see what I can do.